Hey, this is Bruce Cook, and I'm just showing what I've been doing today with my seedlings. So, I did start to transplant these things from these smaller cups into these larger cups. I believe I remember these are 16-ounce cups. I actually still have some unopened packs of these. Can't remember. Yep, 16 ounces. So, I was originally wanting a little bit smaller cups than this, something like a 14 ounce cups, but I had gone to the Dollar General to get the cups, and I initially wanted to get styrofoam, but they didn't have styrofoam cups in the sizes that I need. And actually, the only ones they had were gigantic 18-ounce cups, and I wasn't trying to go that big. So, but as you see, I got a bunch of seedlings um, transplanted from these little ones to these larger cups. And I'm basically waiting for these things to get about as large as what you see these are. I just did this all today. So I was hoping to catch all of these seedlings by the time the roots would reach the bottom of those cups. And luckily I did. Every one of these seedlings that are up here, when I pulled them out of the cups, I pulled them out like dirt and all. And the roots did reach the bottom of these small cups. I wanted to catch them before the roots would start to bind up in the bottom, and luckily I did. So that's what I'm doing. I just did that much so far, and I'm actually using a combination of the seedling starting soil and the indoor potting soil. So the seedling starting soil is a little bit fluffier, so that'll help the roots grow a lot faster. They'll have an easier time growing. And of course, I chose red color cups. The ones that they had in the size cups that I needed were transparent. They're clear or like a slightly smoky color. And at least from what I learned when I started learning how to grow, other growers recommended, well, they said you don't want the roots to be exposed to light, like direct light. So I try to avoid things like transparent cups. Like these, barely, I almost questioned whether or not to use these things, but they're white, they weren't like the transparent color. So, but I wouldn't go any lighter than this. But so I picked these red ones. And as I stated earlier, well, a couple months ago when I said I was going to start germinating new seeds, this time around I'm not doing the double cup method. So now I did drill a hole in the bottom of these cups for when I'm watering, just in case I put a little too much water in there. It will run onto my platform here. I'm gonna try to avoid that, but I'm not gonna do the double cup method. So that does become a big pain in the butt, and almost thought somebody was in my doorway, but yeah, that was becoming a big pain in the butt. It's just a lot of extra work, and I don't want to have to deal with like knocking plants over from having to pick the cups up when I have a whole platform full of them. And most growers that I've watched who make tutorials on how to grow would not use the double cup method. There was only a couple people I even seen that did that. I actually learned that from Kingstar. It was just one way he was experimenting on doing it, but my reasoning for not doing the double cup method is because if you're doing that, that means you're feeding the plants plant food from underneath. And what I was finding was when I'd go to transplant my plants outside in the larger containers, I was forgetting to put extra nutrients in the soils anyways. But I think my plants, they kept on losing all of their leaves right away, and then I'd have to wait for them to regrow their leaves. And I think what was happening was the plants got too used to and dependent on the higher NPK from the plant food that I was giving them when I do the double cup method, and then I would just transplant them into straight like outdoor potting soil, which would have a much lower NPK level. You'd have to add the nutrients to the soil, which is something I'm going to do once I get out there. It's not going to be a problem going from being in this lower NPK and putting them into a slightly higher NPK. But it is a problem if you get your plants dependent on a higher NPK and then suddenly you starve them of that by putting them into soil that doesn't have sufficient nutrients to, I guess you would say, feeding their addiction to the higher nutrients. But anyways, yeah, I started this process. As time goes on, as all these seedlings get bigger, once I think the roots have reached the bottom of the cups, these small cups, I will put them into bigger cups. And also, so far, of all my seedlings that I have germinated and grown, I have only had one seedling die on me. In fact, the seedling that died was a seedling that when I had pulled it out of its seedling tray and stuck it into one of these cups, I was pulling up on it, and some of the roots snapped off to the main stem on the bottom of the seedling, and it really didn't have very many roots, so it wouldn't have been able to really absorb any nutrients. But I left it in the soil anyways, and sure enough, it shriveled up and died. But so far, only one seedling has died on me, so that's pretty good. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Of all those extra little cups that I had sown several seeds into, the Carolina Reapers, Red Primatalis, and Chocolate Primatalis, I think every single one of those seeds germinated. So I think I was down to like 18 or 19 plants after I sown the original 25, and with all of the extra seeds that I sown, it bumped me up to, I think it's 48. So I believe every last seedling that I had sown into those extra little cups actually germinated. I'm not even sure if I had any seeds that did not germinate this time around. These are all seeds I've collected from my own peppers last year. So I just simply pull the peppers or the seeds out of the peppers. I would fold them up in a paper towel to kind of dry them off, absorb the oils off the seeds. And then after a few days, I would pull the paper towel that had the seeds in it back out, and then I would put them into little Ziploc bags and label them. And since I've been harvesting my own seeds, I have gotten an extraordinarily high germination rate, like close to 100%. So this year everything's going good so far, and I've checked through all these plants, including that one that I had in the bowl that I experimented with at older indoor potting soil from last year, and it was doing just fine. And I did not find any I haven't seen any aphids yet. Of course, this year I didn't bring any of my plants indoors, from the previous season, so there wouldn't have been any chance of aphids transferring from those plants into my new ones. But at least so far, I haven't seen any aphids come from the soil that I've put them in. So let's hope we get lucky and maybe that won't happen. But anyways, that's my video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you next time.